Okay, guys. So I made it across with one of the vehicles. I made a delivery. That was part one. The lumber mill down there in the corner. I think I had the map this direction. And I needed to make a commentary separately. Did that video during a kind of background noisy time. This is going to be a live one. I'll tell you what, man, that was hard getting across the river with that thing, but actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So hopefully, we'll drive this truck the right direction this time. The first time I went across, I accidentally made a circle and drove all the way back to the garage, and just, that was pretty frustrating and I felt kind of stupid. Okay. So I think I'm basically going to take the same route. But then I've got a third truck. I found the E-7310, which is the biggest vehicle. It's like an old Soviet missile carrier. And I think that truck is going to make it across here with no problems. Okay, so let's see. We got to go down to the river's edge. And so if you get the idea of the path, right? So we're here, obviously with the arrows out. We're going to come down here and kind of go out to this island. And this is where we'll make the crossing at. We'll just come out here someplace and then follow one of these path lines. This is the one I accidentally made the turnaround. This line right here. I accidentally went backwards. I don't know what I was thinking. With this car, actually. And you know, it's too late. By the time you get out here, you use most of your fuel, so you have to. I had to come back and refuel. And anyway, that's when I found the other vehicle. So I'm not. It wasn't a total waste. So I'm not totally upset about that. But anyway, I'm gonna come out and do that route, see if I can get across, and then I will still have to make one more trip. So the E-7310 is gonna go, and I'm taking with that. I'm gonna take a trailer with repair and fuel on it because that thing sucks diesel super fast. Anyway, all right. Boring stuff aside. Excuse me. Let's get this thing down the hill. And hopefully it will be light by the time we want to get... Well, hopefully we'll do part of the crossing in the daytime. I don't want to skip the night here. I am playing in casual mode, if I haven't mentioned that. I don't remember if I did. It allows you to skip the nighttime, use a little less fuel. Anyway, doesn't really matter. It's still pretty challenging. I am going to try hardcore pretty soon. The challenges seem like they'll be fun hardcore, if not these maps. Although I think these maps will also. Mostly I'm just rambling until we get where we're going to go across the river, and then we'll start discussion. Alright, so here's our first hurdle, okay, and it's really not that bad. The water moves pretty quickly here. I've got the crane on this truck, just in case I do flip over somewhere and lose the logs. As long as it's not in the river, I should be able to just right myself. I'll have to use another vehicle to do that, but I should be able to right myself and then pick the logs up and just keep going. So that wasn't bad at all. Let's look at the map here. I think I want to try and... stick to the kind of the southern edge of this island. You can see the compass down in the lower left of the map there. So that'll be the upward facing side of the island there. This thing does a little bit better in the water, and I don't have a trailer on this, so it should handle the crossing a little easier. Plus I don't have to worry about it getting hung up on trees. E7310, I'll make that in a part 3. The only reason I'm even doing this is because this map is pretty hardcore and I really like it. A lot of challenge here. Trying to go slow so I don't bounce myself over. Plus all these limbs in the water, if you're going too fast, you'll take damage if you hit them. And we're totally fine at the moment, but it doesn't take much to get in the water and stall the engine. And if that happens, it's almost, for lack of a better term, a death sentence. Nothing is. You don't die in this game. There's always a way out. You can even, at least in casual mode, call for rescue, quote unquote, and you will recover at the closest garage, and you can start over. But I don't want to do that. I like the idea of problem solving, and I'm trying to get it right. Let's see if we're still, yeah, we're still on track. So it's about 10 minutes to 2 in the morning, game time. So we should start seeing daylight in another couple of hours, game time. I think at about 5:30 in the morning, game time is when we'll start seeing daylight. And if I don't have it here, hopefully I will have that in the next video in part 3, because this is really a neat looking map. I really like it a lot. There's a lot of like real seclusion here. These are all pretty wilderness feeling maps. This one is very very lonely. You get the idea. You do not have any help out here. Okay. So I did make this crossing once up here. I went through off this end on this line right here. You can see sort of, if you can see my mouse pointer. But I don't want to do that. I don't really want to risk it because the water is flowing really hard over there and it could turn me over. So I'm going to go just follow this line. And then we're going to go this way, I think, and out here, and try to make it to one of these points. We shouldn't have to fight the current too much here. I don't believe the water's very deep. You can sort of see where it's moving out there. I think there's a little bit of a deep spot when I first get in, but it's not so bad. Hopefully we won't even take any damage. Might already be past it, actually. I'm trying to go slow. You can see down here on the UI, where it says fuel, it tells you your fuel economy. Right now I'm using 10 liters a minute. Now when I use the whatever, the big vehicle, the missile carrier, when I use that, it'll be like 30 a minute crossing this. This is why I'm figuring I'm going to carry a fuel tank with me, because I may not have enough to get across. Okay, see, I've already made a wrong turn here. This is what happened last time, I think. I was trying to avoid trees and I just ended up turning around. So I want to go to this end. Yeah. Okay. And those limbs holding me up. We got one there too. Everything in this game, I think I've mentioned it in the first video that I put up. the very first one. Everything has its own physics model, and these branches will get caught on the undercarriage of your vehicle and hold you right up, man. Alright, straight across. Right in between these. I think that's going to be the plan. And once again, the current shouldn't be moving too badly here. It's the final crossing. This seems to be the safest route that I've found so far. Now this one's even pretty shallow. You can see the bottom. In the lights there. I don't want to get high centered either. There's a lot of winch points here, but there's only so much distance that winch can go. And if I'm not close enough to something, I won't be able to pull myself out of a hole. Alright, so I need to make a left turn here. Probably. I think I took this route with the 4310, the first vehicle I took across. Might even still have tracks here. Maybe not though, because I loaded this game. This is different. So we'll see. No, they're not there. And there's some power poles out there, you can see. That's a pretty good indication that you can drive out there. Okay, once again though, we're going to make a left turn. This is a point where we're going to have to ride the current down. There's a lot of water flow in here, and it's a lot deeper. And I'm going to be turning right here. There we go. You can see the land. Right now, I want to shoot for this island. Current probably will take me closer to this one, but that's okay. It might not. We might get across. I might be heavy enough with this truck that it won't do that. The biggest thing I'm worried about here is rolling over sideways. Oh, that's much too deep. Oh shit. Yep, there we go. Okay, well. So the logs are gone. Took a little damage. Obviously what I should have done was angled myself downstream a little bit so I could ride the current a little better. But you know what I think I'm going to do is I'll bring the E7310 over here and I'll just pull it out of here. I'll just winch it out. And then I'll take it across. So that means I've got to go get logs. So I'm going to do that, and when I come back, hopefully I will be closer to C255. That's where I dropped out right there. And yeah, hopefully that'll be a point where I can winch it out of there, and then we'll continue. Okay, here we come. Pretty close to where I rolled over. You can see the truck up there in the distance. Luckily it's still daylight for another few hours in game. And I'm just going to take this thing and winch it out. I'm going to tow it back. I want to get that truck across. This thing needs to go across in part 3. Because it's going to take a different route. So what we're going to do is get out here a little bit closer. Shouldn't be too far away. I'm not real worried about damage. Got a lot of health, this vehicle. It's attached to the front. And we'll pull it. I'm just going to reverse, I think. Just straight up backwards. And we're just going to pull this thing out of the water. Not real sure why I got that achievement. I've had to do this a couple of times before. The water might just push it over if I let it go real quick. But I don't really want to let it go. Let's give it some slack instead. Okay, it's taking a lot of damage. So what I want to do is release it. And maybe if I can back up and just kind of pull it over on its wheels. If I can come at it from a different angle here. I think, I don't remember if that truck has a spare wheel on it or not. I don't think it does, actually. Doesn't look like it. But I can repair it at the garage. I'm just going to tow it back with this truck. It doesn't really matter if it's damaged or not. I haven't seen anything strong enough yet to fight the current. So we may not be able to drive up too close to this, but we're going to try. A little closer. That's what I want right there. There we go. Now we're going to release it. Attach there. Get it all the way out of the water. Use the other truck to help. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn around. I'll get this thing towed back home. I'll reload that thing with logs and we'll try this again. We'll pick it up from there. And hopefully we'll make it this time. This has been a really fun, challenging area for me. I really, really am enjoying this. Alright, here we are, finally. Back, I'm repacked, refueled, damage is repaired. This time, instead of trying to go straight out into the current, I'm going to angle myself downstream a bit and try to ride it, similar to what I did with the C4310. And hopefully we don't flip over this time. Taking a little damage isn't really going to bother me a whole lot. As long as we're still moving across the river, I'm okay with that. It can take something like 400 damage before it actually starts to affect me. And we want to tip a little bit. Coming up to be able to fight it some. Fight the tipping. Okay, cool. Made it that time. Good deal. Okay, now from here we're going to make a right. I want to try and cross off right up here if I can. That's going to be upstream. It might be really difficult. Really what I should have done was gone in over here, but it's going to be alright. Yeah, alright, let's give it a shot. I think it's shallow enough that it won't bother me too much. If it is, then I guess it'll be take 3, but let's just drive as far up here as we can. And do the same thing, we'll ride the current down. And again, even if I end up over here someplace, it's okay. I just need to be able to get back on. Ideally, this is the best route right here in the middle. So if I was able to jump across here and then here and up here, that would be ideal. This one's a little deep, this one's a little deep, but we'll get there. I don't lose the load again first. You can even look across and see the destiny. The goal is at hand. Or the other way around. See the goal of destiny is at hand. Something like that. I don't know. I'm tired. It's getting late. The current's moving really strong right into our faces. We don't want to face it. We want it to push us, but not turn us over. So let's see. We might make it to the road from here. I don't even think it's really that deep for a little while. But then it's going to be real swimming. We're going to be up to our necks. Okay, here we go. Face downstream a little bit. This is going to be the real pushy part. There's a shallower area here. To our left, right there on the ground. Luckily it's shallow enough here, it's not wanting to push too hard. Oh, man. Oh, no, no. Oh, that was a close one there. Really wanted to go. Okay, good deal. I should be able to just drive right up onto the road from here. And then it's a paved street all the way. Okay, I don't need diff lock or all-wheel drive on pavement, so here we go. And we're going up, yeah, making a left turn not too far from here. Right, you could be right there. It is indeed. And a little ways down, make a right. And that'll be the end of this video on part 2. Part 3 will be the 73, whatever it is. I never remember the designation of that vehicle. With the truck that I used to pull this one out of the river. And I'm going to try and take a different route with that vehicle. Mostly because I think it can handle a different route. It's a little risky. If I lose that, then it's a real problem, because that was my last shot. I would have to take one of my smaller vehicles back over and probably get a different load. I don't think there's any way I can winch that big thing over if I turn it on its side. Okay, crawler. Low crawl. That's full throttle in the granny gear for you. You know, something interesting too with that D7310, E7310, I think that's what it is. That thing uses so much fuel. I've never ran a vehicle out of fuel in this game yet. The 35 or so hours that I've been playing it. But I can imagine if there's any simulation to that, anybody that's ever run a diesel out of fuel knows that losing a prime on it is a real pain in the ass to get the engine started again. I'm kind of curious. At some point, I'm sure I will run out of fuel and see if that's true. It may not be in this. Alright, there's the vehicle I made my first trip with. Alright. Unload. Honk the horn for good luck. Alright guys, that was part 2. And that was a chore. You see up there in the corner, I've got an hour and 20 minutes now. Hour and 21 minutes. Into about a 20-minute crossing, so that's the challenge. Anyway, I could have recovered, but I'm glad I did it this way. It's much more satisfying. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Part 3's coming. Hopefully you're still interested, because I'm going to upload it anyway. And, you know, still planning on doing maybe some challenges later. This game's also got a pretty good mod scene so far. I might end up actually modding a game. It's something I'm really not for, but this game really going to lend itself to it. Anyway, alright guys, thanks for watching. I'm Scroo from TwinstiqLP. As always, have a great one.